In 1980, ETK released the I-Series, a car that became the symbol of German quality. Precision. Power and luxury. But this video is not about the I-Series. What you just saw is a recreation of an ad for the Seonghui Ikun, a North Korean car whose original advertisement is so rare I couldn't find a single recording. So, this was our best attempt at recreating it based on some text I found. So, picture this. It's 1980. ETK rolls out the I-Series, a German sedan that's all about durability, reliability, and handling that feels like it was carved from a block of precision. Fast forward to 2002, and in the world's most secretive and poverty-stricken country, North Korea, they decide they want in on that luxury sedan market. Enter the Seonghui Ikun. What is it? Well, it's basically a North Korean copy-paste job of the ETK I-Series, except It's 22 years late to the party and the drinks are long gone. Now, let's talk about what really makes this car tick, or rather, clunk. The heart of the Seonghui Ikun is a 68 horsepower, 4-cylinder engine. But here's the kicker. It's a knockoff of the 1960s Ibishu Miramar engine, which itself wasn't exactly setting the world on fire. Some even say it's a rip-off of a rip-off, like a Xerox of a Xerox. And North Korean engineers weren't exactly winning any awards for innovation here. As soon as you shift into third gear, the car starts to lose its breath. Fourth gear? Forget it. You might as well get out and push. The gearbox is a 4-speed manual, which feels ancient compared to the 5- and 6-speed options ETK was offering decades earlier. The top speed, a blistering 120 kilometers per hour if you're lucky. And I mean, that's if the car doesn't choke itself to death on the way there. Step inside and, well, prepare to be underwhelmed. You won't find a tachometer or really much of anything. There's a single dial for temperature control. No fancy air conditioning, just a fan that blows whatever temperature air happens to be outside. And if you're hoping for any kind of audio, think again. There's no radio, no speakers, nothing. Not even a slot for a radio. The interior is loud, and I mean loud. Everything rattles. No soundproofing here, just you, the road, and a symphony of mechanical groans. It makes even the worst Soviet cars of the 70s look like luxury limousines by comparison. And this is where it gets even more ironic. North Korea positioned the Ikun as a luxury vehicle, but when the average citizen can't afford food, let alone a car, it begs the question, who was this even for? Okay, so the performance is tragic. But what about the handling? Well, here's where things get mildly interesting. The car is surprisingly nimble on rough terrain. I took it for a spin on a local gravel road, think rally light, and it actually handled pretty well. But that's probably because the engine is so underpowered you're never going fast enough to lose control. I mean, the original ETK I-Series has a rally pedigree, and this thing is a tribute to that. But only in the same way a fast food burger is a tribute to a steak dinner. At speeds above 70 kilometers per hour, though, the car starts to feel like it's on a slip and slide. At 100 kilometers per hour, forget trying to make any sort of corner. The understeer is so bad, you're more likely to steer straight into a barrier. It's like the car is actively resisting the idea of turning. And then we come to the build quality. Or, should I say, lack thereof. The panels are paper thin. The interior feels like it was cobbled together by someone who only had a vague idea of what a car should look like. And the suspension? Well, it's practically optional. Some people report that the entire wheel assembly can bend just by putting too much weight on it while turning. You heard that right. You could misalign the suspension simply by, driving it. This car wasn't built so much as it was thrown together by World War II-era machinery that hadn't been updated since, well, World War II. The engine. It breaks down more often than North Korea's economy. And despite all of this, the Ikun was paraded as a victory of self-reliance, Juche. Except no one could afford it. Most of these cars ended up as propaganda props or taxis that rarely saw the light of day. But wait, there's more. Because in 2006, Seonghui Motors, bless their persistence, decided to give the Ikun a facelift. The big update? A 94 horsepower engine, now with fuel injection. I know, right? Cutting edge. For the 80s. It was more powerful, sure, but still wildly underpowered for a car of its size. And while the car felt a bit livelier, the understeer issues just got worse. At 100 kilometers per hour, this thing was like a boat on ice. Cornering became an exercise in hope and prayer. And to top it off, the car became more unstable at higher speeds, with a tendency to snap out of control and slide, something I found out the hard way during a test run. Then there's the military version. Because what else would North Korea do but militarize this mess of a car? The military Ikun is basically the same car, just with larger off-road tires, a slightly raised suspension, and four-wheel drive. Oh, and a transfer case. Because why not? But here's the thing, the core mechanics. Completely unchanged. You'd think a military vehicle would be built tough, but nope. On rough terrain, the chassis starts flexing like it's made of rubber. Drive it over anything more challenging than a pothole, and you'll feel the whole car start to break apart. I've driven cheap off-roaders like the Taz Baikal, and even they handled better than this. In the end, the Seonghui Ikun was more of a propaganda piece than a car anyone actually wanted to drive. North Korea sold it as a luxury sedan, a symbol of their engineering prowess. But let's be honest, it was a rip-off of a car that had already seen its day 2 decades earlier. The only place this car was going was into a propaganda reel, driving down Pyongyang's empty streets, pretending to be something it never was. So yeah, the Seonghui Ikun is what happens when you try to copy something great but miss the point entirely. It's a car, sure, but it's also a cautionary tale of what happens when you put politics ahead of practicality.